What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I did want to talk about something here on Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown because, the hype is insanely crazy right now for this game. I'm honestly really excited for it. But here's the thing I did want to talk about. We all do know right now in the gameplay exclusive trailer that, well, this game is actually going to have something called progression. Isn't that a crazy term nowadays? Because we don't really have a lot of games that have that now. The reason why I did want to talk about this in this video, though, is I do feel like a lot of players might like it, and then there's probably going to be another side that doesn't. So there is going to be an article, though, that I did want to go over talking about a bit of this said progression or how long it might end up taking to get certain cars in test drive. So right here, guys, now I might end up butchering the name of this person that is going to be on this. Test drive is not a game where you will have many cars. Gwennet, might be wrong there, explains to me at a recent hands-on preview in Paris you'll need to explore the game's open world, competing in a variety of race modes and challenges to earn money and experience to increase your reputation and wealth. Only through perseverance you will then be able to add luxury cars to your garage. Maybe the car you want is something you cannot have for now, he adds. It will take maybe 1 to 200 hours to have access to them. Now, I would say a lot of people right now are going to go, wait a second. You're telling me right now that I'm going to have 200 hours to buy a single vehicle? That is going to be a nightmare. Here's the thing though, guys, I do feel like a lot of players probably want that progression aspect to a game. Then again, we have mentioned before that Test Drive is not a racing game, it's a driving game. So maybe it's going to be the kind of thing to where you're going to have to grind out, get some vehicles, and it's most likely going to take you a bit longer to get some of the higher price cars like a Bugatti. Now, the other part I did want to talk about in this is going to be something around the Bugatti that's around 5.5 to 6 million. I have seen places it's going to be 5 million and 7 million. Not sure. Either way, 5 to 7 million dollars for a single vehicle is more than any car in Motorfest actually costs and Need for Speed Unbound. In fact, the first person to own a Bugatti in the game's testing period played 200 hours to reach the luxurious milestone. It's kind of funny though, because if you are looking at something like this, a lot of players are going to go, bro, 200 hours to buy a Bugatti. Now, I'm going to say this probably will fall into a few different factors. Number one, I would like to guess that you will most likely find a few events that might be a bit easier to grind out. That way you can actually make more money, do challenges, make money from driving around like that bar that goes up. That way you can actually bring extra money in doing events, doing challenges, and probably bringing in quicker money that way to actually buy some of these vehicles. On the exact same side of that, I kind of understand why they did end up doing it this way. A lot of players can jump on something like the Crew Motorfest, for example. Look at some of the vehicles being around 2 or 3 million, let's say. You will then have to grind out a few different races in that game to end up making that kind of money to buy it. Funnily enough, a lot of the other ways you can make money, players don't want to do it because it simply takes too long to do it. Now, I do have a feeling, though, I'm probably going to be on the weird side of the comments here, guys, but you know what? I don't mind grinding that long for something like a Bugatti. Now, I do know players are going to go, well, wait a second, Blocked. That's 200 hours for a single vehicle to buy it. Let's just say that took that person 200 hours. What if it actually takes somebody else around 100 hours to do it, or even less? It most likely depends on the ways you can find to make money, or maybe you find a faster way to do it. It might end up being like an exploit or something at first and they fix it, or players might end up finding a crazy way to make money really quick, which could be a glitch. Unfortunately, many games do suffer from that, but here's the thing, I do not actually mind grinding out for something like that. For example, funnily enough, right now on Motorfest, I actually have over 700 hours on it, which I was going to make a video and post it because that is a lot of time in that game. Here's the thing though, if you actually like driving around, which obviously Test Drive is focused on a driving game, not a racing game again, I did want to emphasize that because they're obviously way different. If you actually like driving around on Test Drive, let's say you're driving around, how about a GTR? You're driving that car around a bit, you go, you know what, let me go jump into the store here and test drive the Bugatti. What if you actually drive that Bugatti and you're like, you know what, I have to have this thing, bro, it's sick, it's so fast, it's so fun to drive around, I have to buy it. Here's the thing though, you look at that and it says $5 million to buy the vehicle. You're only at around 500K right now, so guess what? You are most likely going to have to grind out but do a lot of races or events or challenges to make enough money to buy that vehicle. I would say if they actually do the progression part of it correctly that it could be a lot of fun and also most likely something we don't have in a lot of racing games. Let me know your thoughts on this right now in the comments, but do you guys also agree that, well, a lot of racing games tend to throw you a lot of really fast cars really quick and you're most likely already getting some of the fastest cars in the game a bit too fast? For example, a good way to say this though is going to be on Need for Speed Heat. Before I did even end up beating that campaign, I had around $10 million, and I know you're probably going to be like, bro, what were you doing? The funny part is I would buy a car, I would then go on like nighttime, I'd level up and stuff, end up getting higher rank to get higher level parts. The funny thing about that though is right after that I would basically head back into single player, grind a bunch more events out, and pretty much make even more money to buy different parts and a bunch of engine swaps. So I would say a lot of players at this point are probably going to look at this and go, wait a second, I would rather actually have a bigger progression system to where I can't get the best car that quick. Also, another example of that is going to be Need for Speed 2015. I legit beat the entire campaign in a Ferrari, not even kidding. Now, I do want to mention though, before you do end up freaking out on how long it might end up taking to buy the Bugatti and test drive, remember in this it does say the person to own a Bugatti in the game's testing period. I'm guessing that's probably going to be a very small area similar to a playtest, and they most likely did not have every single like event or something active. I'm going to guess right now that it's probably not going to take 200 hours to get it, and even if it does, guys, I would say a lot of players are most likely going to enjoy other vehicles that they will probably end up buying along the way when building that collection on test drive. And along that way, at least you'll be able to eventually buy that Bugatti. And you know what's funny about this though is I do legit see a lot of people talking about like the overall progression in racing games or even any game for that matter. So I would say maybe they're most likely taking a different approach to test drive that way. You're not going to have every single car in like 20 hours of playing it. Now I would say on some sides, as I did mention before, that some players might like that. And then on the other side of it, some people might not like the fact that they might have to grind that much for a certain vehicle, or they might look at a car and go, you know what, it's probably going to be a good 50 plus hours before I can get it. The funny part about that though is I'm going to be more excited to play and actually do races, challenges, and stuff. That way I know I'm actually going to be working toward a different vehicle in a said time frame. But besides all that though, do let me know what y'all think about the entire progression system being set around different vehicles being a bit longer to get them, and on top of that, the Bugatti being around 100 plus hours to get it.